Wow, just look at that. What a friggin' sight. Well guys, the day has come. The first camping trip adventure with the Hootie-Built homemade fish house / camper. We've tested it out as a fish house, and now it's time to put it to the camping test. Got our safety chains on for far travel in case there were to be any sort of a leaf spring failure. This 5,000 pound rated safety chain will stop it, so it can only max out as far as the chain. Something new we did, the wife painted the front of the camper to match. So now we're all pretty maroon, not tan anymore. This used to be tan before. So you guys wanted your specs video, and now you're gonna get it before we take it off on the trip. So most of you already know everything about it because you watched me build it, but for those that don't, it's an old pop-up camper frame. And just to prove it to you, we got our drop arm still, pop-up camper style, all four sides. There's the old bar catch that used to help the slide out support. I just left all the drop arms there so you could still utilize those and level it out like a pop-up camper, or you can put blocks down under it like a fish house and drop the drop axles. A lot of people asked me questions about the size of steel that I used, just because they were concerned about the strength doing their build. So this is 2x3 3/16 inch steel, and this is 2x2 3/16 inch steel, I believe. It's more than strong enough for this light of a fish house. This thing probably weighs less than 2,000 pounds. It's ridiculous. These are the old leaf springs that I pulled off the original axle off the pop-up camper style, and then I cut it off and salvaged the leaf springs. 15-inch wheels off Amazon, already mounted the tires. 5x5.5 wheel hub assemblies off eBay. All grade 8 bolts. And yes, I made the mistake of not painting this right away. I really should have, because now I have to sand it all down and repaint it. Once I do my regular maintenance this summer and I grease up my pivot shaft and the wheel hub assembly, I'm going to sand all this down and repaint it. And you guys probably remember, but for those that don't know, this is all 100% removable as a piece, so the whole assembly can come right off. All you do, pull the pin out of your leaf spring, take out this one bolt, pull off your stopper, and then the whole thing comes off in one piece, so you can work on it. Then we got our 30 amp power inlet, and I have the 30 to 15 amp power adapter, and I also have a 30 to 50 amp power adapter. So that way I'm 100% good to go at any campsite, no matter what they have to offer. This is our battery box vent, because anytime you have lead acid batteries in an enclosed space, you should vent them. Propane tank mount up front, just like the old pop-up camper style. Then I ran my hose into a special little plumbing clip. I can't remember what this is called. Some guy told me, thank you very much for that. I cannot remember, so you'll have to reference back to the video. I also swapped out my door handle because the last one was just a knob style and there was no key for it, so now I'm able to lock it at the campsite. We'll go in here, and right away we did one sheet vinyl flooring. So it's like linoleum, but it's vinyl sheet, and it's wood plank style. It's all one piece, 100% waterproof, never gonna pop apart through expansion and contraction. This is the best type of flooring that you guys can put in a fish house or a camper that'll last forever. Trust me, I know I do flooring and remodeling for a living, so I know what the do's and don'ts are, and anyone that's trying to put plank flooring in their camper, over time it's not going to work. When things freeze, because your camper is not going to be warm all year round, when that shit freezes, it's going to contract and tighten up just like the walls, and then it's going to pop apart. That flooring is not designed to do that. Whereas this, it's all one piece, it's all glued down. You don't have any seams for water to get through. When you get mud all over here like it is right now because it's raining outside, you can get mud all over this shit. Have your dog come in, have your kid come in, spill stuff. Ice can fly up when you're drilling your holes ice fishing, and you can literally just mop it up and sweep it off, whatever you want. It's always going to look like this. Something else I added that probably doesn't look familiar to you guys is my window shades. So all of these window shades I actually cut out of one set. Like, this set had both of these scrunchies on top and bottom. 100% blackout curtains, and I tested them. When you have the lights on here and you shut these, you cannot see through. You can't even tell that anyone's in the camper. And they're just nice to do when you have really bright days fishing out on the ice. So 100% blackout is kind of essential, but obviously you can do whatever the hell you want. Most of you guys probably know because you watched me build it once again, but for those that don't, I made this entire interior out of reclaimed materials that I picked up over the years of doing finish work. The only thing I paid for was my wall panels here, the gray ones that I painted, which is just 1/4 inch standing utility board, and then all of my trim. Oh, and the floor, I paid for that too. But everything else was reclaimed materials. Barnwood, reclaimed from my barnwood wall I built in the house, and I made the pantry and my mantle. Ceiling, reclaimed tin. This wainscoting here, that's the roofing that we had on one of the houses we built, so that's reclaimed. All the countertops, the phone charger pad, the dinette table, the dinette bench covers, those are all old computer desks that I had at my old day job, and they just threw them in the dumpster, so I went and grabbed them all and saved them for about 3 years and found a good use for them, and it matches perfectly. I love this. Just a little pop of color. It's got a nice rubber edge. It's flat and nice and gonna last forever. Being it's a fish house, I have 4 holes with a pop-up camper style. I was gonna put one more back there, but I didn't really find a use for it because I figured a person can jig back there, but you can sit on the ends of these benches, and they left enough space where the axle and the brace bars came through. I was able to leave enough space here so you can just sit off the end of the benches and jig. So, hole there, one there, and then one under the shit I have laying over there. 4 holes, that's all you need in a little 6x10 like this. For heat, I got my Mr. Heater Big Buddy, and that way I'm able to completely remove it off the wall, and then my gas line is the quick disconnect on this side, and it literally just pulls completely out of the fish house, and then I have a little cap for that plumbing piece outside so I can seal it off from water and bugs and critters. And that way I have completely removable system that I can use in other things like my deer stand or early ice fishing in the portable. It's great. So like when we take it camping in the summertime, we don't need a heater. I can remove it all. The only reason I left it is because we're going to Lake Superior up by Duluth, and the weather is always kind of just fluctuating. It's either nice or it's cold, and it's usually always cold at night this time of year. So we're bringing the heater just in case because we have the little one. Also, a quick shout out to my amazing mother. She stayed awake until 1 a.m. last night sewing up these dinette bench covers, and she did an amazing job. They're a nice stretchy material. It's dark, so it's not going to get all stained up theoretically to lighter colors, and it's got a scrunch back so I'm able to pull them off and wash them. Amazing. I love you, Mom. You're such a badass. Before we talk anything electrical, I'll explain the dinette system that I made. So storage under that dinette bench, all electronics and batteries and fuse panel, everything is under that side. That's what that's whole utilized for. So we got a 40-inch dinette. You can seat 4 people. You can also sleep 2 people. This table collapses down. I also made my own collapsible system and then some reclaimed materials for my wall mount. Worked out amazing. You guys can go back and watch if you missed all of that, but most of the people that are watching this video watched me do all this. I just have to explain for those that are just finding this video first and not the other ones. Then I made my own design. It's a bifold bunk system on the top, so it completely detaches and collapses together and then folds up on the ceiling. So you have the maximum amount of headroom here. Then when it folds back out and sets down, you got another 40-inch bunk on top. So you can sleep 2 people on this 40-incher and 2 people up here on this 40-incher. That's not too bad for a little 6x10 with a slant roof. And just a little size comparison for you. I'll sit in here and you guys can see plenty of freaking headroom. So, you know, taller people can sit out here, but most likely you're not gonna have a long enough torso to hit your head on this. I am 5'10", for those of you that don't know, so my torso fits perfectly on this small side, and it's perfect. And then the cushion, the big mattress for the top bunk, it rolls up, and then that's what's stored underneath this dinette bench along with the pillows. So when you're ready to sleep, collapse the table down, the back rests both sit in the middle so you have a complete bunk, and then this folds down and then bifolds out, and then you pull the mattress out of here and roll it back out, and then just put a twin size sheet on it. That's basically the size of a twin sheet. So now we will talk electrical specs, because a lot of people were wondering what my amp draw was for all the stuff I have in here, and how my freaking golf cart battery setup is just kicking ass right now. It's because I did a lot of research and I looked into the amp draw of all my little nooks and crannies in here to make sure that none of them were exceeding what I had in mind for my build. So just to make it all simple to start, everything in here is 100% 12 volt. You can plug it into the battery inverter that's in there. That's what that 30 amp power outlet is on the outside. So you can plug it into a campsite. It goes to the power inverter, supplies you power while it tops off the batteries. That's where you'd hook up to a generator if you're out on the ice, but I have not had to do that because this thing lasts for freaking ever, and I'll tell you why. And then over on this side, I have a completely separate 110 system that's separate from everything else. It's on this side, tucked under my cabinets here, which are full of camping stuff. So I got my little toaster oven there, and there's an outlet under here on the top shelf, and then I have one power switch and one 110 light. So that way, in the event of any 12 volt system failure, I can still have an outlet to power things, a switch, and a light, so I can still see and get things done. So now we'll talk specs. I can pull this off and access my battery and electronic compartment. So it's all under this dinette bench. So we have our power supply / battery charger, 100% sealed battery box that vents to the outside, 2 golf cart batteries in there, our 12 volt fuse panel, our 30 amp breaker switch, and our master battery shutoff. And then the gas line comes through. I got some foam on there just to protect it while we're driving. So there's foam through that wall, foam around all these sharp edges, foam through this that comes through that side wall, and then it's just foam all the way about to where the heater is, so that way jigs or boots or dogs or nothing can affect this gas line. It's 100% protected, even through travel. So everything here gives me maximum protection. I obviously built my own battery box, and you guys can go see how I did it. I wasn't too concerned about the plastic. I just made it with plywood. So now we'll talk amp specs. So if everything was on and all phone chargers are being utilized, so I have a 12 volt socket up here for the TV mount, which I don't have yet, and then there's a power supply here for charging your phone, so 2 USB, and then there's another one over here at the dinette. So I have another 12 volt socket, another USB supply, my battery voltage meter, and then there's another one up there for top bunk with 2 more chargers, so that way 2 people sleeping here can charge their phones, and 2 people sleeping up here can comfortably charge their phones. Come on, Ice Castle, get on my level. If everything was on and all chargers are being utilized, which is very unlikely, I would have a total draw of 18.32 amps. Now, conservatively speaking, the only things that are usually ever on is my battery voltage meter. It's always on, and that baby only draws 0.04 amps, so not even a quarter of an amp, like not even close to a quarter of an amp. So literally that could run for days and it would not affect the batteries at all. So that, and then my 4 LED puck lights, these babies only draw 0.25 amps a piece. So with all 4 running, it's only 1 amp drawing on the batteries. So that's hardly anything to affect those 2 6-volt golf cart batteries. The reason I did 6-volt golf cart batteries is because they are a true deep cycle battery and they handle abuse a lot better than your regular 12-volt batteries. They're designed to go from max capacity to 0 capacity for golf carts. That's just what they're designed to do. They're able to take more of a beating than your regular batteries, so that's why I did it. And the amp hour ratio is just a lot better with those. It's second to none. So I plan on doing a solar panel kit so that way I can boondock anywhere. The sun will charge my batteries and I can easily last a day with these 4 lights on. Easily, even more than that, I bet. But I don't ever want to take it under 50% because that's how you keep your batteries in good condition forever, is to never bring them below 50%. So my interior lights, a total of 1 amp draw. My 2 exterior lights, so there's one up there so I can see my propane stuff and hooking up to the truck at night. And then there's one out here, right there, so you can see out here in the front when you're getting the stuff out of the cooler. Hi, Duke. The exterior lights only draw 0.25 amps a piece as well, so that's only half an amp on the outside, and they're usually never on. My 2 12-volt computer fans, those babies only draw 2.5 amps a piece as well, so that's another half an amp with those running. That's this last switch here. So that blows all the heat off the ceiling when we're ice fishing to make a comfortable supply of heat just blowing around this little space. It's great. So shut that off. Then I have LED rope lighting in here for party time. That's this switch here. So that's my 12-volt blue LED strip lighting along the whole ceiling, and then kind of a backlighting behind this bunk when it's up like this, so you can still get a little bit of blue light back there. So shut that off. And then this switch I don't have hooked up yet, but it's set up to have an air draw system, so I can put a little vent over there in the corner, and then a little vent with a tube over here, and then flanges on both sides, so that way I can flip that switch and it just gives me a constant supply of airflow. The only things that are ever on and the only things you really need are the 12-volt lights in here, and then your battery voltage display. 1.04 amps total. You can run 1.04 amps on these 2 6-volt golf cart batteries for probably days before they would even freaking have trouble. Like, this is an incredible setup. If you guys are gonna build it all yourselves and gut it and rewire everything yourselves, which I did, just get the LED puck lights. You will not be disappointed. So once again, interior lights, total of 1 amp, all 4 together. Exterior lights, total of 0.5 amps together. 2 12-volt computer fans, total of 0.5 amps together. My rope lights, those draw 2.8 amps, which is kind of a bummer because they're cool, but those are usually never on. All 12-volt DC outlets combined, if they were all used at once, are 2.1 amps a piece, so 4.2 amps per outlet. That's 10.5 amps total. But like I said, very unlikely to have them all utilized at once. My voltage display is 0.04 amps, and that thing tells me my percentage and battery capacity, and you can also click it. Tells you what voltage you're at, so we're at 12.5 right now. 100% boondocking at the moment. And you can shut it off if you're trying to sleep and it's too bright, or just click it on and keep her at this battery percentage, which I like. And that's about it, guys. Very simple setup, very efficient setup. I love it. It's amazing. Hope I answered everyone's questions, and if you have any more, just leave them on this video and I'll get to them. So, we're gonna finish packing everything up and let's go camping.